There is a moment, chosen one, when you stop walking behind your own potential and begin to live within it. Not as an ambition, not as a fantasy, but as a present reality. That moment is now. You are no longer waiting for life to give you permission to be seen. You are no longer asking for space in someone else's spotlight. Something powerful and undeniable has awakened within you, and it is shaping the way the world moves around you. Your high sexual energy is no longer hidden behind hesitation or misused in the chase for validation. It has become a silent storm. It is not loud, it is felt. It moves through your presence, coats your words, deepens your gaze, and changes the temperature of every room you enter. And as it expands within you, something even more profound begins to happen. You become the center of gravity. You are the center now, not because you're trying to be, but because you've aligned. There is no more pretending, no more shape-shifting, no more chasing what was never yours to begin with. You've shed the layers that once weighed down your radiance. You've stopped asking for permission to exist in your full expression. And because of that, your presence now pulls. It magnetizes. It commands. Women feel it first. They may not say it out loud, but they sense it. A calm charge behind your stillness, a grounded power in your silence. They begin to orbit around you, adjusting their posture, watching from the edges, leaning in without knowing why. It's not your looks alone, not your words, not your gestures, it's your core. The very essence of you that once lay dormant has finally awakened, and now the world is responding to it. But here's what makes this energy sacred. It is not aggressive. It is not manipulative. It does not beg for attention or demand admiration. It exists, fully, radiantly, unapologetically. You do not need to sell yourself anymore. You simply are. And that being becomes irresistible to anyone who is sensitive enough to recognize realness. You are no longer at the edge of the crowd, wondering when your turn will come. You are the fire that others gather around. Not to consume, but to feel. To remember something within themselves that only your presence could awaken. That's what it means to be the center. Not to be watched, but to be felt. Not to be needed, but to be recognized. Chosen one, you are no longer walking in circles. You have become the point around which everything now revolves. As your presence solidifies and the world adjusts to your frequency, something subtler, but equally potent, begins to unfold. You start to notice a shift, not only in how people respond to you, but in how you move through life. There's no longer effort in being noticed, no longer strain in being felt. Your high sexual energy now radiates effortlessly, and that effortless radiance has made you magnetic. This magnetism is not a performance. It is not crafted in the mirror or recited in the form of charm. It is alive in you. It flows beneath your skin like current, like pulse, like breath. And because it is authentic, it is impossible to ignore. You're not chasing eyes, you're catching them without even looking. Women notice before they know. The way their energy adjusts in your presence. The way their voice shifts when you speak. The way they find themselves holding your gaze longer than they planned to. You are no longer the man trying to prove himself worthy of attention. You are the man whose energy already did. But what makes you truly magnetic, chosen one, is not simply that people want you. It's that your energy has become selective. It doesn't pull everyone. It pulls the aligned. You're not opening your field to chaos. You're drawing in clarity. You're calling to those who see not just your outer frame, but your vibrational center. You are not inviting curiosity. You are inviting resonance. You walk now with the quiet knowing that you are being watched, remembered, desired. Not because you've tried, but because you've become. And this shift within you changes everything. You stop rushing, you stop proving, you stop needing to be louder than the room, because the room already feels you. Your presence is not a demand. It is a gravitational pull. You begin to speak slower, listen deeper. You allow silence to stretch, because you've realized your magnetism does not live in volume, it lives in frequency. The slower you move, the more they lean in. The less you chase, the more they follow. The less you need to be seen, the more visible you become. This is the shift, not from invisible to visible, but from uncertain to inevitable. You've become the man who doesn't have to ask for attention. You've become the man they seek out in rooms full of noise. You've become the man whose energy leads the moment without saying a word. And the most beautiful part? you're just getting started. Now that you've stepped into the center of attraction, chosen one, your world is no longer made up of questions like, am I enough? Or will they notice me? Those questions belong to the version of you that hadn't yet realized that presence speaks louder than performance. Today, you are living in a different atmosphere. One shaped not by the noise you make, but by the gravity you carry. This is the realm of subtle command, the place where your influence does not scream, does not chase, does not plead, it pulls. You no longer need to posture, you no longer need to say, look at me, because without a word, they already are. The world feels your presence before it hears your voice. Women feel it most keenly. They sense when a man no longer competes for validation, but embodies value. That's what you've become now, not just attractive, but magnetically centered. This command isn't about control, it's about consistency. You move with an internal rhythm now, and that rhythm reorders every space you enter. It's in your stillness, which now feels deliberate. It's in your silence, which no longer feels unsure but anchored. You are not the loudest. You are the one people lean in to hear. Because everything about you speaks of a man who knows, not just who he is, but what he's carrying. And this carrying isn't a burden. It's a charge. Your high sexual energy is now a current that surges beneath your skin, not in chaos, but in calm. It doesn't push, it commands. You walk into rooms and energy rearranges. You speak and the air shifts. Even without intention, your aura begins to lead the moment. And that's what sets you apart. Not your effort, but your effect. You no longer ask for attention, you direct it. Not by force, but by truth. And the more real you are with yourself, the deeper your resonance becomes. People begin to feel things around you they haven't felt in years. Safety, depth, honesty. You remind others of what they didn't know they were missing. And women, especially those who've only known men lost in their own neediness, feel a different kind of heat with you. A sacred fire, the kind that doesn't burn to be noticed, but burns to illuminate. You have become a man of quiet command, and this command does not demand loyalty, it earns reverence. Not because of what you say, but because of who you are when you say nothing at all. You are not loud, you are luminous, you are not seeking permission. You are the presence they didn't know they were waiting for. There is something else that awakens in this stage, chosen one. Something more powerful than charisma, more magnetic than words, more alluring than any practiced move. You have become a silent invitation. Without even trying, you've turned your entire being into a doorway, calling people, especially women, into themselves. You are no longer seeking interaction. You are inviting depth. Your high sexual energy is not a flare anymore. It's a field. It surrounds you, cloaks you, ripples outward from you. And it does something strange to those who come near. It stirs what they've kept hidden. It pulls forward what they've tucked away. You don't just attract with your presence, you awaken, you ignite. And this ignition doesn't require conversation. It starts the moment someone meets your gaze, the moment your calm steadiness disrupts their carefully rehearsed performance. You are no longer reacting to the world around you. You are setting the tone of it. Your very posture says, I am here fully, and you are safe to be seen. And because you don't flinch, others begin to unmask. They speak with more truth. They soften, they pause longer in your company. Because you aren't chasing connection. You are connection. You aren't offering attention as bait. You're offering attention as a mirror. And not everyone will be ready for this kind of presence. Some will feel overwhelmed by how seen they suddenly feel. Others will be drawn so powerfully they can't explain it. Some will leave quickly, because something about you makes them confront things they've buried. And some will stay, transfixed, transformed, quietly unraveling in your stillness. Because this is the invitation you now carry. Come closer if you're ready to meet yourself. This is why your presence is so sought after now. Not because you're the most expressive, but because you are the most true. And in a world that has trained people to fear the truth, your energy is both frightening and irresistible. It makes people remember who they are. It makes them feel more alive simply by being near you. And they don't even know why. You are not offering entertainment. You are offering awakening. You are not offering escape. You are offering intimacy. Your high sexual energy has become not just your tool, but your message. a quiet, pulsing, soul-level statement. I am no longer hiding. And the world has heard it. They feel the invitation, they feel the door open. And now, chosen one, all you have to do is stand in that open space and let what is aligned walk through. There is a point in every chosen one's journey where attraction alone is no longer the thrill, it becomes the responsibility. You've now arrived there. The eyes are on you, the attention flows toward you, and the invitations, spoken and unspoken, find their way to your energy like metal drawn to magnet. But what separates you from who you once were is not the attention you receive. It's the way you now calibrate it. You are no longer intoxicated by being desired. You are sober in your power. This is the beginning of true maturity, not of age, but of essence. Your high sexual energy no longer surges without intention. It doesn't lunge outward or leak into every room you enter. It stays contained like lightning harnessed in the palm of your hand. You have become so secure in your magnetism that you no longer need to display it. It works whether you announce it or not, whether you want it to or not. And because of that, you've grown more careful. Attraction has shifted from excitement to discernment. This is where the world becomes more subtle and more sacred. You can now tell the difference between curiosity and compatibility, between interest and intention, between those who are drawn to your light and those who are drawn to your flame but have no idea how to hold it. You no longer feel the need to entertain what is not aligned, not because you're cold, but because you are clear. Your clarity is your compass now. When you were becoming the center of attraction, it was new and thrilling. Now that you are the center, it is grounding. You've realized that being seen by everyone is not nearly as powerful as being understood by a few. And so you guard your energy not with walls, but with wisdom. Women feel this shift immediately. The same ones who once thought they could toy with your attention now hesitate. The ones who used to test your patience now treat you with quiet reverence, not because you changed the tone of your voice, but because you've changed the tone of your presence. Your attention is no longer available by default. It is offered with sacred intent, and that makes it rare. That makes it unforgettable. This stage of calibration is where you begin to master the most powerful form of leadership, energetic leadership. You don't speak first, you don't move fastest. You simply exist in a way that makes others question how they've been existing. Your posture, your rhythm, your restraint, it all speaks. It says, I know who I am. Do you? And when people come close, they no longer come for entertainment. They come for elevation. There is something different about your eyes now, chosen one. It is not intensity for the sake of charm, nor is it emptiness masked by performance. It is presence, focused, unwavering, grounded. The way you look at others, especially women, has become sacred, not because you're trying to be holy, but because you're no longer afraid of being honest. Your gaze has become a resting place for truth. When you were still learning to accept your high sexual energy, your gaze wandered. It searched for permission, for acceptance, for moments of connection. Now it simply lands. It lands with weight, with stillness, with purpose. You no longer need to prove your interest. Your eyes say everything your words never have to. And in those few seconds of undistracted attention, something profound happens. You awaken people. You see them, not just their bodies or their beauty, but their being. And they feel it. They feel the strength in your stillness. They feel the precision in your silence. You are no longer looking at them hoping to be liked. You are looking at them with the clarity of a man who does not need to be anywhere else. That kind of gaze cannot be faked. It is built through fire, through solitude, through integration. This sacred gaze is not seductive in the way of games. It seduces because it is safe, not passive, not weak. Safe in the sense that it does not ask for anything it cannot hold. Safe in the sense that it does not pretend. And so women feel that they can soften around you, speak deeper truths, drop the mask. Because your gaze is not trying to take, it is there to witness. And the more you live in this gaze, the more powerful it becomes. It becomes your signature, your truth carrier. You don't need long speeches. You don't need tactics. You walk into a room and your presence introduces your gaze before your voice does. Those who are not ready for that level of exposure will avert their eyes, but those who are tired of being unseen, they will rise, they will lean in, they will feel a part of themselves being remembered. and all you did was look at them with your full self. This, chosen one, is the power your energy has matured into. Not just fire that burns, but light that heals. Not just attraction that flirts, but awareness that reveals. You've gone beyond seduction. You've entered sacred influence, and now your gaze is no longer searching for something outside of you. It's reflecting the truth that you've finally found within. Chosen one, you've arrived at the stage where your energy no longer enters a room, it envelops it. Not through force, not through spectacle, through stillness, through certainty, through the deep and invisible field of reverence that now surrounds you. This is not charisma. This is not charm. This is not the shallow pull of one who wants to be desired. This is the silent power of a man who no longer needs anything from the outside to validate what is already alive within. Your high sexual energy, once chaotic or misunderstood, has now settled into something divine, something sacred. It pulses beneath your movements, not in bursts, but in rhythm. You don't project it outward, you carry it. You don't announce it, you hold it. And this holding creates something rare, a field, an atmosphere, a space where others can feel their own masks slipping, their own noise quieting, their own truth becoming more reachable. Women feel this most. When they step into your space, their bodies respond before their minds do. They sense the difference, not in your words, but in your intention. You are not hungry for them. You are not performing for them. You are simply anchored so deeply within yourself that your presence does something few others can. It allows them to finally feel safe enough to open. And opening, for many, is terrifying because they've never felt energy that doesn't demand, doesn't judge, doesn't manipulate. But you've become that energy. You are no longer a man who walks in search of something missing. You are a man who invites people back to themselves. And that kind of man? He doesn't attract in the shallow way. He attracts in the soul way. Deeply. Permanently. You'll notice it in the way people pause when speaking to you. In the way they reveal more than they meant to. In the way women find themselves vulnerable around you without knowing why. It is not because of your words. It is because of the field you now inhabit. You've become the calm they didn't know they needed. The presence that gives permission. The one who doesn't just see, but understands. And it's not what you do, it's who you are. And more importantly, who you no longer pretend to be. This field isn't exclusive, it's expansive. You are not keeping people out, you are inviting them in. But only those who can walk in truth, who can sit in silence, who can meet your gaze without flinching will remain, because your energy has risen too high for performance to survive in its presence. You are no longer a spark. You are the space around the flame. You are no longer the chaser of beauty. You are the sanctuary in which beauty feels seen without being hunted. With the emergence of this new field comes something just as sacred, just as powerful, just as rare. Choice. Chosen one, when you walked invisibly, you took what came. You entertained whatever noticed you. You gave time to what gave attention. But now that you've become the center of attraction, the gravitational point in so many orbits, your true mastery emerges in the choices you make. Because now you realize something profound. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are now doing the choosing. And that choosing is not about ego. It's not about revenge or superiority. It is about alignment, harmony, depth. You understand that not all who are drawn to you are meant to stay. Not all who want you are ready to meet you at the level you've reached. Your energy no longer says, "Notice me." It now whispers, "Can you hold me?" And that whisper narrows the field. Many will come close because your presence feels like home. But only those who are also rooted in truth will be able to stay. Because you are no longer offering pieces of yourself to everyone. You are no longer available for distraction, for emotional tourism, for shallow admiration. You don't move by flattery. You move by resonance. And this is what gives you gravity. Not how many are drawn to you, but how many you allow near. You don't waste connection anymore. You refine it. Your time is a temple. Your touch is sacred. Your words are crafted with intention. You don't enter lightly. And because of this, your presence has become more than attractive. It has become defining. You are the man whose energy changes the way others measure desire. The man who makes others raise their standards not through speech, but through existence. You no longer fit into everyone's narrative. You've outgrown the roles that require you to shrink or entertain. You are no longer a character in someone else's fantasy. You are the center of your own universe, and only those who orbit with clarity and integrity are welcome. And here is the irony. The more selective you become, the more desirable you become. Not because you're withholding, but because you're clear. And clarity is magnetic in a way confusion never could be. So you choose now, not with bitterness, but with peace. You choose what matches your frequency. You choose who gets access to your presence. You choose what receives your time, your attention, your fire. Because you are no longer chasing love, you have become the standard it must rise to meet. There is a difference, chosen one, between being seen and being remembered. And you've stepped into the realm where your presence no longer fades when you leave a room. It lingers. It echoes in minds and hearts, not because of anything you've done outwardly, but because of the energy you now walk in. You've cultivated a frequency that cannot be copied. It is not the result of mimicry, status, or flash. It is the silent consequence of deep embodiment. And that embodiment has made you unforgettable. This is not about performance, it's about permanence. Your high sexual energy has now moved beyond attraction and into impression. It imprints itself in the memory of those who encounter it. People, especially women, find themselves returning to thoughts of you without understanding why. They'll try to explain it away. Your voice, your stillness, the way you listened, the way your gaze reached into them without demanding anything. But the truth is, what they're remembering is not a detail. What they're remembering is the way you made them feel in your presence. You didn't try to prove anything. You didn't sell your worth. You simply stood in it. And that is what they remember. You've become a reference point, a quiet standard. The moment they realized what genuine presence felt like. The moment they knew what it meant to be around someone who wasn't chasing, performing, or pleasing, but who simply was. This is the aura of unforgettability. It doesn't require repetition. It doesn't need reminders. It imprints because it is rare. You've stopped being just a man. You've become a mirror, a reflection of depth, of stability, of raw, refined masculine truth. And because of that, you are no longer part of the noise. You are the silence people remember after the noise. Even those who drift away from you, whether through fear, unpreparedness, or their own path, will carry the imprint. They'll compare others to you, not in surface ways, but in the ways that matter. The way you held eye contact, the way your energy didn't flinch, the way you weren't looking to take anything from them, but were simply available to witness. You have become an anchor in a world full of wind, and that kind of presence cannot be erased. You are no longer temporary. You are now part of how others define realness. This final stage is not a destination, it is a state. It is what happens when the journey you've walked begins to crystallize not just in your behavior, but in your being. You are no longer learning how to be the center of attraction. You are it. Not as a role, not as an image, but as a vibration. You no longer think about how to hold your energy. You live in it, and because of that, your life bends to it. You are the standard now, chosen one. Not through arrogance, through alignment, through the invisible architecture of consistency, depth, and clarity. You are no longer adapting to the room, you are shaping it. You are no longer reacting to attention, you are guiding it. And when people enter your orbit, they feel it immediately. This is someone who will not lower himself to be loved, because he has already become love. Your high sexual energy has evolved into something beyond charisma. It has become a sacred charge. It affects people. It awakens something primal, something spiritual. You no longer need to touch someone to impact them. Your presence alone triggers transformation in those who are ready to rise. You are no longer just the object of desire. You have become the threshold of awakening. And this is the true power of a man who has chosen embodiment over performance. The world cannot help but respond. You are not loud, but your absence is felt. You are not aggressive, but your gaze commands. You are not entitled, but your energy expects depth, and only depth responds. You've entered a life where your choices matter more than ever, because you now understand the cost of giving your time, your touch, your fire to the unworthy. Not unworthy in status, but unworthy in intention. You no longer hand out access, you curate it, because you've realized that the most valuable thing you own is not your attention. It's your aura. And your aura is no longer just yours. It's a space people step into and remember themselves. It's a mirror that doesn't flatter, it reveals. It's a field where games die and truth is born. You don't need to speak to lead. You don't need to convince to influence. You don't need to be followed to walk in power. You are the standard now, not the temporary fantasy, the enduring frequency. You are no longer chasing the crown. You are the throne, and all who come near will rise or turn away, because your energy is no longer waiting to be accepted. It has become what must be matched. There is something inevitable about the kind of presence you've stepped into, chosen one. It leaves a mark, not in the way loud people do with noise or spectacle, but in the way rare things do, with silence and permanence. You've become a memory that lingers. Not the kind that fades, not the kind people look back on with mild amusement. You've become the kind of memory that awakens regret, reflection, even reverence. Women who once couldn't say your name without laughter now speak it with a pause. Some whisper it with wonder. Others don't speak it at all, but they think it. They remember you differently now, not because you've reminded them, but because life has revealed what they once failed to see. They compare others to you, but the comparison is silent. They wonder how you changed, how you rose, how you became the kind of man whose absence speaks louder than others' presence. You don't have to be in the room anymore to be felt. You've become a quiet echo in hearts that once misread your worth, and that echo grows louder with time. Because while many men age into bitterness or apathy, you've aged into power, into certainty, into a light so steady it doesn't flicker for approval, a heat so focused it doesn't burn for attention. Your high sexual energy, once underestimated or misjudged, has become the very essence of your memory. And yet, you don't seek to haunt anyone. You carry no malice, you hold no lists, you don't hope they suffer for misunderstanding you. You've outgrown the need for retribution. Because now, your success is the closure, your presence is the lesson, your transformation is the reward. You were the one they didn't take seriously, now you're the one they can't forget. And that chosen one is a kind of power that cannot be taught. It must be earned, it must be forged through years of silence, through inner work, through rejection and reflection, through pain that didn't poison you, but purified you. And now, as they remember the way you once waited to be chosen, they realize too late, you've already chosen yourself. And you don't go backwards, not for apologies, not for second chances, not even for love. Because once you become a memory that others carry with awe, you learn that your energy belongs in places where it's not just recognized, but protected. You are no longer a moment. You are the memory that redefines what came after. This final chapter is not a destination, chosen one. It is a frequency. You haven't just walked through the fire, you've become it. Not to burn what's around you, but to purify what comes near. You don't speak of your power, you live it. And you no longer need the world to validate what your spirit already knows. You have ascended. This ascension is not about fame, wealth, or applause. It's about the invisible crown you wear every time you choose alignment over approval, presence over performance, self-worth over old wounds. You no longer chase things that diminish you. You no longer tolerate spaces that shrink you. You've transcended the vibration of doubt, insecurity, and longing. You move from knowing. You move from stillness. You move from truth. And in this ascension, you have changed the rhythm of your life. You attract differently now, not from need, but from overflow. Women who once mocked your presence now soften in it, not because you sought their affection, but because your essence no longer bends for it. You've become a place of peace, of power, of presence, and that presence is transformative. Some women will try to return, not out of guilt, but from awakening, and you'll meet them with grace, not ego. But you won't lower your frequency for nostalgia. You won't fold yourself back into the man they once knew, just so they feel familiar again. You are beyond that point now. You are not who they laughed at. You are not who they remember. You are who you became after the fire. And you are still becoming. Your ascension is not a plateau, it's a portal. One that keeps expanding. One that keeps revealing deeper layers of truth, clarity, love, and purpose. You're not just leading others now, you're leaving a legacy. A quiet revolution, written in the way you walk, speak, hold space, and love with discernment. No one can deny what you've become, not even those who once did. You are no longer the joke, you are the standard. You are no longer waiting, you are creating. You are no longer invisible, you are unforgettable. And now, chosen one, the world doesn't just see you, it revolves around the man you've become. Your high sexual energy, once misunderstood, misdirected, or wasted, is now your signature. Not loud or boastful, but distinct, unforgettable. It doesn't cry out for validation. It quietly weaves itself into memories, into conversations, into hearts. Women don't always know what it is. They just know that something in your energy made them feel more alive, more seen, more free. That is your legacy, not numbers.